Keqing is nowadays considered as an extremely powerful unit thanks to Dendro and other buffs, but before her big comeback, players had built this character to do damage in ways that didn't use much of her electro abilities. Ladies and gentlemen, today I will tell you about the rise and fall of physical Keqing. Back in the early days of Genshin, players would use the superconduct and electrocharge reactions whenever using an electro character. These reactions were weak when compared to melt and vaporize, but definitely were usable, and the former gave rise to the physical Keqing build. Superconduct would decrease the physical resistance of enemies by a large percentage, allowing characters to deal more white damage. And with the game having a low number of 5-star and 4-star weapons, players made do with the prototype Rancor, a free 4-star weapon which could be obtained after reaching a certain adventure rank. This build would work surprisingly well on Keqing. With her incredibly fast and hard-hitting charge attacks, people would recommend the physical build over the electro one, since the damage was higher. Characters like Diona would provide huge support with her shield by increasing movement speed and decreasing stamina consumption, allowing Keqing to squeeze in a couple more charged attacks. Bennett would provide an attack buff, and Mona with her Omen application allowed for pretty strong team comps even in slightly difficult domains like the Spile Abyss. Players lucky enough to get the Aquila Favonia would enjoy a marginal increase in Keqing's overall physical damage. This, however, would be as high as the damage ceiling could go for this build, and the underlying issues would soon enough take center stage.
Honestly, can't even finish my haiku without being interrupted.
Hoyoverse later on would release Kazuha, a character able to buff elemental damage and pull enemies together with his elemental skill. The issue here was that the Spile Abyss was changed to suit his kit, and enemies would be scattered around the arena, making players have to chase them down one by one. Kazuha, along with Venti and Sucrose, would solve this issue by grouping them, but Keqing could not keep up. Out of all the sword users, she would consume the most amount of stamina when using a charged attack. Another issue was that she would send medium and small enemies flying in front of her while she takes a step back, therefore consuming more stamina when having to run after them. Keqing's talents and constellations also boosted her electro damage and would give no boost whatsoever to her physical build. Hoyoverse would again release hard to reach enemies like the Spectres and high physical resistance enemies like Ruined Sentinels and the Mechanical Array and the Ruined Serpent. At this point, players now had the option to craft a sword from Inazuma, or would have obtained a copy of the Lion's Roar or enough star glitter to get the Black Cliff sword, and with newer 5-star weapons like the Jade Cutter and Mist Splitter Reforged being added later, players began to switch back to the electro build. The final nail in the coffin was of course the addition of the Dendro element. The elemental reactions like Aggravate would boost any electro damage of any electro unit, which finally brought the element as a whole back into relevance. Keqing still remains one of the best electro damage dealers in Genshin's current meta. She has the weapons, supports, and abilities to dish out high amounts of damage. However, her physical counterpart requires too much skill and luck in order to do a fraction of what other characters can do easily. And this is the history of a build that started pretty well, but eventually fell off. A very big thank you to all of you for the recent support on the channel. It means a lot, and I really enjoyed reading most of your comments. I hope you all will continue to enjoy my videos, as I have a lot more planned in the future. Thank you for watching to the end. Take care and goodbye.